There is a war happening right now. Not in any country. Not on any battlefield. Not between armies or nations. It is happening inside you. Right at this very moment. As you breathe, as you sit, as you watch this, two forces are pulling you in opposite directions. One voice says, you can. Another whispers, you can't. One says, rise. The other says, rest. One says, you are enough. The other has been saying, for years, you are not. And the terrifying truth, you have been fighting this war every single day of your life. And most days, you don't even know you are in it. This is not a war fought with weapons. It is fought with thoughts, with doubts, with the stories you keep telling yourself at 2 in the morning when the world is quiet and your mind is loudest. Most people will live their entire lives losing this war, not because they were weak, not because life was too hard, but because they never realized the enemy was never outside. The enemy has always lived within, and today, we face it. There is something nobody ever taught you in school, something no classroom, no teacher, no textbook ever placed in front of you, and yet, it may be the most important truth you will ever encounter in your entire life. You have been living inside your mind for years, decades even, believing that every thought you think is you, that every fear that rises is your fear, that every doubt that whispers is your truth, that every dark feeling that visits in the night belongs to you permanently. But listen carefully, you are not your thoughts. You never were. Think about this for a moment. Right now, as you sit here, thoughts are moving through your mind like traffic on a busy road. Some are loud, some are quiet. Some arrive without invitation, worries about tomorrow, regrets about yesterday, judgments about yourself that you did not choose to think. But here is the question nobody asks. If you can observe a thought, if you can watch it arrive and watch it leave, then who exactly is doing the watching? The watcher cannot be the thought itself. The observer and the observed are never the same thing. Imagine sitting beside a river. The water flows endlessly, constantly, without pause. Leaves fall onto the surface and get carried away. Stones disturb the current and then the water settles again. You are not the water. You are not the leaves. You are not the stones. You are the one sitting on the bank, watching all of it move. Your thoughts are the river. Your fears are the leaves. Your doubts are the stones. And you, the real you, is the one sitting quietly behind it all, aware, present, and untouched at your deepest core. The mind is a powerful instrument, but an instrument is only useful when it is held by steady hands. When you forget that you are the one holding the mind, rather than the mind holding you, everything collapses. You begin to react to every thought as if it is a command. Fear arrives and you obey it. Anger rises and you become it. Sadness visits and you call it your identity. This is the trap. This is how millions of people live their entire lives, enslaved not by the world outside, but by the noise inside a mind they were never taught to master. Here is something the ancient teachings have always known. The greatest distance a human being can travel is not across oceans or mountains. It is the journey from being lost inside your thoughts to standing calmly behind them. That space, that small but infinite space between a thought arising and you choosing how to respond, that is where your true power lives. That is where freedom begins. Most people never find that space because nobody ever told them it existed. But it does. And once you discover it, nothing will ever control you the same way again. You have had thoughts that told you that you were not enough. Thoughts that replayed your failures on a loop at midnight. Thoughts that convinced you the worst was coming. That people did not truly care. That you were somehow behind, broken or undeserving. And perhaps you believed them because they felt so real, so loud, so certain. But a thought feeling real does not make it truth. Clouds look solid from a distance. Up close, they are nothing but air. Your darkest thoughts are the same, enormous from inside, but weightless the moment you stop feeding them your belief. The warrior does not win by fighting every thought that rises. The warrior wins by refusing to be deceived by them. When a fearful thought arrives, the untrained person runs. The trained mind simply watches, acknowledges it arrived, understands it will pass, and chooses not to build a home inside it. This is not suppression. This is not denial. This is the highest form of mental discipline a human being can practice. You feel everything, but you are not swept away by anything. You remain standing, rooted, calm, like a mountain that watches all weather pass without moving even once. So the next time your mind turns against you, and it will, remember this moment. Remember that you are not the voice speaking. You are the silence listening to the voice. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds the storm without breaking. You are not the chaos. You are the awareness beneath the chaos. Ancient, steady, and unshakable. The thoughts will come, the thoughts will go, but you, the real you, remain. And that version of you, the one watching quietly behind everything, has never once been weak, never once been broken, and never once been defeated. There is a moment every human being eventually faces, a moment so uncomfortable, so disorienting, so deeply unsettling, that most people mistake it for a sign they are going in the wrong direction. But what if everything you were taught about that feeling was wrong? What if the chaos you feel rising inside you, the doubt, the fear, the resistance, the sudden urge to retreat back into what is familiar and safe, what if all of that is not a warning to stop? What if it is actually the most powerful confirmation that you are finally, truly, moving in exactly the right direction? Think back to every time you decided to change. Every time you made a promise to yourself to wake up earlier, to work harder, to speak less and act more, to become someone your past self would not recognize. Remember what happened next. Within hours, sometimes within minutes, something inside you pushed back. The mind created reasons to wait. The body searched for comfort. Old habits knocked on the door disguised as logic. Excuses arrived dressed as wisdom. And most times, without even realizing it, you listened, you slowed down, you settled, and the decision that could have changed everything quietly dissolved into another forgotten intention. This is not weakness. This is biology. This is the mind doing exactly what it was designed to do, protect you from the unfamiliar. For thousands of years, the unknown meant danger. The brain learned to treat discomfort as a threat and comfort as survival. So when you decide to grow, when you step beyond what you know into what you could become, every ancient alarm inside you begins to sound. The mind screams, "Go back, this is dangerous, you are not ready, this is too much, you will fail." It is not trying to destroy you. It genuinely believes it is saving you. But saved from what? From becoming who you were always meant to be? Here is what nobody warns you about growth. It does not feel like expansion at first. It feels like pressure. It feels like standing inside a room where the walls are slowly closing in. The closer you get to your next level, the more intense the internal resistance becomes. Your mind will replay every past failure with perfect clarity. It will remind you of every person who doubted you, every time something did not work, every reason why this time will be no different. This is not memory. This is a defense mechanism. And like all defense mechanisms, it only activates when something real and powerful is being protected. That something is your potential. The storm always intensifies before the breakthrough. This is not poetry. This is pattern. Every person who has ever transformed their life will tell you the same thing. The hardest moment was not the beginning. The beginning carries excitement, energy, fresh motivation. The hardest moment came somewhere in the middle, when the excitement faded, when the results had not yet arrived, when the old life was behind them and the new life had not yet appeared. That hollow, uncertain, brutal middle space is where most people turn around. And it is the exact place where legends are quietly, invisibly being forged. Understand this deeply. The level of resistance you feel is directly proportional to the level of transformation waiting on the other side. Small decisions bring small resistance. But when you are standing at the edge of something that could genuinely change the entire direction of your life, the mind will bring everything it has to pull you back. The louder the inner war, the greater the victory that awaits. This is why growth is never comfortable. Comfort and transformation cannot exist in the same space. You must choose one. And what you choose in that moment of maximum resistance, that choice defines everything. There will be days when growing feels like breaking, when becoming feels like losing, when moving forward feels strangely like falling. On those days, the mind will offer you 1,000 reasons to rest inside your old self a little longer. And the old self is not a bad place. It is simply too small for what you are becoming. A snake does not choose to shed its skin because it is comfortable. It sheds because the old skin can no longer contain what is growing beneath it. Your discomfort is not destruction. It is the sensation of outgrowing a version of yourself that has already served its purpose. So when the war inside intensifies, and it will intensify, do not interpret it as a sign to retreat. Interpret it as a signal that you are close. Closer than you have ever been. The resistance is proof that something real is happening. The doubt is proof that something significant is at stake. The fear is proof that this growth actually matters to you. Keep moving. Not because it is easy, not because you are certain, but because somewhere on the other side of this internal war is a version of you so powerful, so free, so unshakable, that every battle you fought to reach them will have been worth every single moment of pain. There is something the world has quietly conditioned you to believe, that the loudest person in the room is the strongest, that the one who always has an answer is the wisest, that the one who fights back immediately is the most powerful. Everywhere you look, in arguments, in conversations, in moments of conflict, the world rewards noise. It applauds reaction. It celebrates the sharp tongue, the quick comeback, the person who never lets anything go unanswered. And slowly, without realizing it, you began to believe that silence was surrender, that staying quiet meant you had nothing to say, that stillness was somehow a sign of weakness. It is not. It never was. Think about the most powerful forces in nature. The ocean does not announce the depth it holds. The mountain does not shout about the weight it carries. The sun does not explain itself to the darkness it dissolves every single morning. Power, real, deep, unshakable power, has never needed to make noise to prove itself. It simply exists. It simply acts. It simply is. The tree with the deepest roots makes the least movement in the storm. The person with the deepest mind speaks the fewest unnecessary words. Silence is not the absence of strength. Silence is where strength goes when it no longer needs to perform for anyone. Watch what happens in moments of conflict. Someone says something cruel, something unfair, something designed to provoke, to diminish, to pull you down to a battlefield they have already prepared for you. And every nerve inside you wants to react, wants to defend, wants to prove them wrong loudly and immediately. But here is what the untrained mind does not understand. By reacting, you give them exactly what they wanted. You hand them your power wrapped in your own emotion. The moment you react from anger, from hurt, from ego, you have already lost. Not because you were wrong, but because you let someone else choose the moment and the terms of your response. Silence in the face of provocation is not passivity. It is the highest expression of self-mastery a human being can demonstrate. When you choose not to react, when you pause, when you breathe, when you observe the storm of frozen emotion rising inside you without being swept away by it, you are performing one of the most difficult acts a human being can perform. You are choosing consciousness over instinct. You are choosing power over impulse. You are refusing to be a puppet whose strings are pulled by the reactions of others. That pause, that silence, that one breath between stimulus and response, that is where your true character is built. There is another kind of silence that the world misunderstands. The silence of someone who has stopped explaining themselves, who has stopped justifying their decisions to people who were never genuinely interested in them understanding, who has stopped seeking approval from voices that were never truly invested in their growth. This silence is not defeat. This silence is liberation. The moment you realize that your path does not require a unanimous vote, that your healing does not need an audience, that your becoming does not need to be announced. That is the moment you step into a freedom most people spend their entire lives searching for and never find. The ancient masters understood something that the modern world has forgotten. Words spoken in reaction drain energy. Words spoken in wisdom preserve it. Every unnecessary argument you walk away from, every provocation you choose not to feed, every moment of chaos you refuse to absorb, you are not losing those battles. You are saving the energy that lesser minds are wasting, while others exhaust themselves in noise, in drama, in endless cycles of reaction and conflict. The silent mind is accumulating something invisible and invaluable. It is accumulating clarity, focus, or depth, and when that mind finally speaks or acts, everything around it stops and listens. Silence also does something extraordinary on the inside. When you stop filling every moment with noise, with distraction, with conversation, with the endless scrolling and consuming that the modern world offers as a substitute for actual thought, something begins to emerge from beneath the surface. Your own voice. Not the voice of fear, not the voice of conditioning, not the voice of what others expect from you. Your actual voice. The one that knows exactly what you need, exactly what you value, exactly what kind of person you are becoming. That voice has always been there. Silence is simply the only condition under which it can finally be heard. So the next time the world expects you to react, pause. The next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, be still. The next time the noise around you demands that you add to it, choose silence instead. Not because you are afraid, not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand something now that most people around you do not. You understand that the most powerful response is sometimes no response at all. That the most commanding presence in a room is often the quietest one. That the deepest rivers make the least noise. And that a mind which has mastered silence has mastered something that no force in this world can ever truly defeat. There are moments in life that arrive without warning. Moments when the mind turns completely against you, when the voice inside becomes so dark, so heavy, so relentlessly cruel that you begin to wonder if it is telling you the truth. In those moments, everything feels permanent. The pain feels endless. The failure feels final. The darkness feels like it has always been there and always will be. And in that state, the most dangerous thing happens. You begin to believe what the darkness is telling you. You begin to confuse the storm passing through you with the sky that holds it. You begin to mistake the test for the verdict. Every human being, regardless of how strong they appear, regardless of how composed their outer life looks, carries a private darkness. A collection of thoughts so heavy, so shameful, so frightening that they dare not speak them aloud to anyone. Thoughts of not being enough. Thoughts of having gone too far down the wrong road to ever find the right one again. Thoughts of being permanently broken in ways that cannot be repaired. You are not alone in this. The person you most admire has walked through the same corridor of darkness. The difference is not that they were spared from it. The difference is what they chose to believe while they were inside it. Here is what the darkness does not want you to know. It is not a revelation. It is a test. It is not showing you who you truly are. It is measuring how deeply you believe in who you are. Becoming. The mind under pressure will always reach for its most extreme fears and present them as facts. This is not truth speaking. This is survival instinct misfiring. A wounded animal in a corner will bite in every direction, not because every direction is dangerous, but because fear has removed its ability to see clearly. Your darkest thoughts are that wounded animal. They are not your identity. They are simply the sound of a mind that is under more pressure than it currently knows how to carry. Think about gold for a moment. In its natural state, it is buried deep inside rock, mixed with impurities, unrecognizable from the dirt surrounding it. To become what it truly is, pure, brilliant, and undeniable, it must be placed inside fire. The heat does not destroy the gold. The heat destroys everything that is not gold. Your darkest moments are that fire. The confusion, the grief, the self-doubt, the crushing weight of your lowest days, none of it is destroying the real you. It is burning away every false version of yourself that was built on fear, on approval, on conditioning that was never truly yours to carry. There is a pattern that repeats itself throughout all of human history. Every person who ever rose to something extraordinary first descended into something as devastating. The darkness came before the light, not as punishment, but as preparation. Not as a sentence, but as a curriculum. Because the kind of strength required to carry a meaningful life cannot be built in comfort. It cannot be manufactured in ease. It has to be forged in exactly the kind of pressure that makes ordinary people stop and turn back. Your darkest chapter is not proof that your story is over. It is proof that your story is being written at a depth most people will never reach. The thought that says you are too broken to be whole again, that is the test. The thought that says you have wasted too much time to still make something meaningful, that is the test. The thought that says the pain will never end, that the morning will never come, that you have gone too far from yourself to ever find your way back. Every single one of those thoughts is a test. And the answer to every one of them is the same. You keep going, not because you feel strong, not because you are certain, but because somewhere beneath all of that darkness, something in you still refuses to fully surrender. Guard that something with everything you have. Understand this about the human spirit. It does not reveal its true capacity in moments of ease. It reveals itself in moments of absolute darkness. When every logical reason to continue has disappeared and the only thing left is a quiet, but irrational, stubborn refusal to give up. That refusal is not small. That refusal is everything. It is the seed of every comeback that ever happened. It is the root of every person who ever looked back at their darkest moment and said, that was the real moment that made me. Your darkest thoughts are not the end of your story. They are the exact place where the most important part of your story begins. So when the darkness comes, and it will come, because it comes for everyone, do not run from it. Do not pretend it is not there. Do not bury it beneath distraction and noise and a desperate attempt to feel normal again. Sit with it. Look at it directly. Ask it what it is trying to teach you. Because on the other side of every dark thought you have ever faced, there is a lesson so powerful, so precise, so perfectly designed for your specific growth, that one day you will look back at your darkest hour, not with shame, not with regret, but with a quiet and unshakable gratitude. Because that darkness did not break you, it built you. And what it built, nothing in this world will ever be able to destroy. Most people spend their entire lives trying to fix the outside. They change their city, believing a new place will bring a new feeling. They change their relationships, believing a new person will fill the emptiness that has followed them everywhere they have ever gone. They chase new jobs, new appearances, new circumstances, endlessly rearranging the furniture of their external world, hoping that one perfect arrangement will finally bring the peace they have been searching for. And yet the feeling follows them. The restlessness follows them. The emptiness follows them, because they never understood the one truth that changes everything. The outside world is not the source of your suffering. It is only ever the reflection of it. There is a law that operates silently beneath the surface of every human life. It does not appear in any legal system. It is not taught in any university. But every person who has ever genuinely transformed their life has encountered it and recognized it immediately. The law is simply this: your outer world will always find a way to match your inner world. Not sometimes, not occasionally, always. The chaos you experience in your relationships is a mirror of the unresolved conflict inside you. The lack you experience in your circumstances is a reflection of the scarcity living inside your beliefs. The disrespect you receive from others is an echo of the disrespect you quietly carry toward yourself. This is not a comfortable truth. It is far easier to point outward, to blame the economy, the people, the timing, the environment, the endless list of external forces that feel so real and so powerful. And those forces are real. The world is genuinely difficult. Life is genuinely unfair in ways that cannot be minimized or dismissed. But here is what separates the person who is shaped entirely by their circumstances from the person who rises above them. One believes the battle is out there. The other knows the battle has always been in here. And the one who wins the war within discovers something extraordinary. The war outside becomes remarkably easier to navigate. Watch what happens to a person who has genuinely conquered their inner world. Watch how they walk into a room. There is no performance in it, no desperation for attention, no anxiety about judgment, no hunger for validation from faces that may never offer it. They simply enter, and the room shifts. Not because of what they said, not because of what they wore, but because of something they carry that has no name and needs no announcement. It is the energy of a person who has faced their own darkness and was not destroyed by it, of a person who has met their own fear and was not controlled by it. That energy is felt before a single word is spoken. Relationships transform when you win the war within. The people who once drained you begin to lose access to you, not because you pushed them away with force, but because you no longer carry the wounds they used to reach into. The patterns that once repeated themselves, the same arguments, the same betrayals, the same cycles of pain begin to break. Because those patterns were never about the other people. They were always about the unhealed parts of you that kept selecting, tolerating, and recreating the same dynamics until the lesson inside them was finally learned. Heal the inside, and watch who stays, who leaves, and who arrives. Your relationship with time changes when you win this war. The person trapped in inner conflict lives in two places simultaneously, haunted by a past they cannot change and terrified of a future they cannot control. They are almost never fully present in the only moment that actually exists, which is right now. But the person who has done the inner work, who has made peace with their history and released their grip on an imagined future, that person inhabits the present moment with a fullness that most human beings only experience in rare and fleeting glimpses. Time does not feel like an enemy anymore. It becomes the canvas on which a liberated mind creates deliberately and without fear. Even your body changes when the war within begins to end. The tension you carried for years in places you stopped noticing, the tightness in your chest, the weight behind your eyes, the exhaustion that sleep could never fully repair, begins to release. Because so much of what the body carries is not physical. It is the accumulated weight of suppressed emotion, of unfought inner battles, of years of pretending to be fine while waging a silent war that nobody around you could see. When the mind finds peace, the body follows. When the inner landscape softens, the outer life begins, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, to reflect that same softness back to you. So this is where everything leads. Not to a perfect life, not to a life without pain or challenge or uncertainty, because those will always be part of the journey of any person who is truly alive and truly growing, but to a life lived from the inside out rather than the outside in, to a version of you that is no longer at the mercy of every opinion, every setback, every storm that passes through. The day you win this war, and you will win it, not all at once, but one conscious choice at a time, everything changes. Not because the world became easier, but because you became stronger than the world ever expected you to be. And that strength, once found, once forged, once truly yours, nothing and no one in this world will ever be able to take it from you again. You came here today carrying something. Perhaps you could not name it when you arrived. Perhaps it was just a weight, familiar, heavy, and quietly exhausting. But now you know what it was. It was the weight of a war that has been happening inside you every single day, in every quiet moment, in every sleepless night. in every breath taken between who you were and who you are still becoming. And today, we faced that war together. We discovered that the voice inside your head, the one that judges, that doubts, that replays every failure and rehearses every fear, that voice is not you. It never was. You are not the storm of thoughts that passes through your mind. You are the sky that holds every storm without breaking. You are the awareness behind the noise, the stillness beneath the chaos, the witness that has watched everything and remains standing through all of it. That is who you truly are. And no thought, no matter how dark, no matter how loud, no matter how convincing, can ever change that fundamental truth. We learned that the moment you decided to grow, everything inside you rose up to stop you. The resistance came, the doubt came, the fear came dressed as logic, and the past came dressed as prophecy. But now you understand what that resistance truly means. It means you are close. It means something real is happening. It means the version of you that the world has not yet seen is pressing against the surface, ready to emerge. The war intensifying is not a reason to retreat. It is the most powerful sign that you are exactly where you need to be. We understood that silence is not surrender, that the most powerful thing you can do in a world addicted to noise and reaction is to pause, to breathe, to choose consciousness over impulse. Your silence is not emptiness. It is depth. It is the space where your truest strength lives, where your clearest decisions are made, where the real you speaks. Not in words for others to hear, but in actions that the world cannot ignore. We faced the darkness together. Those thoughts that visited at your lowest hours and called themselves truth. They were never your destiny. They were your preparation. They were the fire that burns away everything you were never meant to carry, so that what remains is pure, unbreakable, and completely and authentically yours. Your darkest moments did not define you. They refined you. And everything, every keynote, every truth, every realization from today leads to this single point. Win the war within, and the world outside transforms. Your relationships, your energy, your presence, your peace, all of it changes when the battlefield inside you finally finds its stillness. You do not need to conquer the world. You only need to conquer yourself. And the person who does that becomes something the world has no choice but to make room for. The war is real, but so is your strength. And now you know where to find it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having the courage to look inward when the whole world tells you to look out. May you walk away from this moment a little lighter, a little clearer, and a little closer to the person you were always meant to become. Take care of your mind. It is the only home you will live in,